Son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed. They got their strange machines. How did they get up there?
Yo, peace and blessings to the good people wherever you're watching from. I want to say thank you for being here. You're gonna have to pardon me for the title. I'm gonna fix the title afterwards. I got Sydney in here. I'm gonna bring her up shortly. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know we on. I hope that you're warm, you're comfortable, you got you something to snack on, something to sip on, and whatnot. Let's go ahead and get into the show. While I am in the background, I'm going to be bringing something up to the forefront. You'll see in a second. Do me a solid, make sure you give her a warm welcome. Sydney, what's going on? Hold on a minute. There he is. All right.
Hello.
What up? What up?
Not much. Just coming in from Texas this time. A little bit different than my usual Southern California location. So I hope everyone is doing good, and I'm excited for the topic today. It'll be really interesting. I picked it specifically because we're getting into the Christmas holiday spending season. So I thought it would be the perfect topic for today. And for all of you watching right now, you get a sneak preview of what's coming next week. So we'll be talking about the history of Christmas next week. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice, warm. I got a roof over my head, clothes on my back. It feel like you ain't been here in weeks. I don't know why. It's
really
only been yeah, but yeah, I'm good. Good to be back to do this again. Uh, what I'm gonna do right now, because my mind has been everywhere. I'm going to search for this, and in the meantime, I'm gonna turn the camera over to you.
Okay.
You're gonna see me pull up this video in just a couple of seconds, maybe a minute or so. So just bear with me, and I got you covered.
All right. Awesome. So for today, I picked the topic of overconsumption. I thought this is a really important topic to touch on because it's a huge problem in society, especially with the higher economic um, class countries. This is a huge problem in America. It's a pretty significant problem in Europe and Australia, as well as other highly developed nations. Um, it's definitely a worldwide problem. This is not just an American thing. But America is kind of the poster child for this issue. So um, I thought it was really important to kind of touch on the damage that comes from overconsumption, not only to us but to the planet. This one will be slightly less scientific this time around, where I won't be talking exclusively about the impacts on the planet. I will be talking a lot more on the psychology of overconsumption, where it comes from, why we fall for it, how it's manifesting in society. But I will touch on some of the direct impacts on us and the planet. Um, so, so yeah, today I'm going to be kind of investigating specifically the overconsumption trend, which we have the video to kind of give you one example of what overconsumption TikTok can look like. Perfect. For that video in the middle, those are all reusable water bottles. Those are all like the Stanley cups. And then the rest of them are all like makeup type products. You name it. I think those at the top are like the Tree Hut body scrubs and stuff. Yeah, exactly. What is she stockpiling for? I have seen countless videos of this, of people filming themselves showing beyond excessive. Like, excessive doesn't seem to do it justice of how much stuff these people have. And it's so much stuff. Like, that, honestly, this even goes beyond hoarding to me, because like hoarders have their own kind of unique problems where they often have had an emotional event, like a loss of a child, loss of a partner, or were just like raised in it, and they have significant mental dysfunctions which cause them to excessively consume things. But it's mostly out of like need and like the inability to let go because of that underlying emotional trauma. They feel like they need to collect everything to protect themselves, to give them the illusion of security and whatnot. But to me, like, overconsumption is a whole different ball game. That is it goes beyond hoarding. It doesn't have the same mechanisms. It probably has some overlap, but I don't believe that overconsumption is the same thing as hoarding, because it's created by completely different mentalities. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I know a lot of people know what hoarding is, but I think a lot of people don't really have overconsumption to this degree on their radar. But this is something that's been increasingly getting pushed by influencers on TikTok and on other social media platforms. And as you can see, it is wildly excessive and incredibly damaging. One of the biggest comments that I've heard from influencers that talk about overconsumption, there's I think they're called underconsumption influencers, or like de-influencers, where they're basically trying to convince you not to buy stuff. The most common point I hear being brought up is like, you can't even use all of that stuff. Most of that most of those supplies, especially when it's like makeup, body washes, shampoos, conditioner, like you name it, they're going to collect it. Makeup is a huge, a chosen favorite, I would say. But all of those have expiration dates. And even if it doesn't go bad in the sense that like it smells bad and it's not going to be safe for you to use, even if it could just start to go bad in the sense that it's not going to be as effective, it's not going to smell as nice, it's going to lose its color, it's going to fade, whatever it is, it's going to lose its efficacy and lose its purpose. And most of those things only have a shelf life of like max 6 months to a year. If it's a wet product, usually they're less, they have less lifetime because of their tendency to grow molds. So your like liquid foundations, your body scrubs, your soaps, your like lipsticks, eyeliner, all that stuff, like usually those aren't going to last past a year, especially once you open it. Your harder, drier commodities like your palettes and like shadows and whatnot, those can last a little bit longer because they don't have the moisture in them, but still it's going to reduce the color is going to fade. It potentially could cause irritation with the breakdown of the materials in the makeup. And this is only makeup. There are, as you saw, like there's somebody collecting Stanley cups. I've seen people doing this with shoes. I've seen people doing it. I saw a woman do it with Crocs. Like, I always thought Crocs were just those, like, I have these for when I don't want to wear proper shoes. I don't know why you'd feel the need to have a whole wall dedicated to just Crocs. But this is what I've been seeing, is people having rooms that are specifically dedicated to a single type of object, whether it's Labubus or cups or shoes or purses. Purses is a big one. And other things. Like there's some really random collections, but very, very frequently it's makeup, it's clothing, it's shoes, and it's like the trendy items. And beside the fact that you have people promoting this on social media and encouraging this as the norm, even though very likely they're getting kickbacks from these companies. They're not doing it solely because they love them so much. They just want everyone to know how much they have them. So it's very deceptive for these people to do it, but it also encourages people to value this type of life and to see this as something normal, which it's not. Because again, how are you ever in your lifetime going to use all of those things, even if it never expires? Why would you want to have 100 Stanley cups to deal with? Like, I already hate having to wash my dishes at home. Why would I want an entire bedroom full of ones that I have to wash every time I use them? Like, it's just excessive. I'm probably gonna use that word quite a lot in the stream today. But yeah, you can see why I would want to talk about something like this. This is quite out of the ordinary for any other point in history. Even like 20 years ago, somebody who had that kind of collection habit would be seen as having a mental health issue, or they would just be seen as like obscenely rich with no hobbies. But now we have normal people doing this to float a trend to promote themselves on social media. And I bet you most of these people aren't even using all of those products that they're showing. As I said, they're probably getting kickbacks from those companies, and they're getting paid for the views. They're getting paid for the rage bait, essentially. So they're, and also for people that don't know social media that well, a large proportion of what you put in your videos can be arranged to be a write-off. And so even if you spend all of that money, if you feature it in your videos, you can get write-offs for it. So you don't actually, like, you can get like tax breaks and whatnot, because they're business expenditures. So they're using social media to acquire obscene amounts of items that are not necessary. And not only is this a problem for the people that are participating in it, but it's going to be a problem for all of the people watching, because if you are following this with the expectation that, like, this is what I want from my life, like, I admire this, this is cool to me, you're going to be way more compelled to spend than the average individual. Because chances are, sure, during the trend, everyone was like, oh, I need a Stanley Cup because everyone's getting a Stanley Cup. But most people probably weren't, maybe they wanted a collection of them, like have their favorite colors, favorite patterns, or whatever. But I highly doubt every person that was interested in the Stanley Cup was like, I need a whole room of these. I need to dedicate an entire space in my house just for these Stanley Cups. But if you start seeing people online that are doing this, it's going to be more and more normalized. So people are going to be like, well, they do it too. So what's the problem with me doing it with these things? And as I said, it's not just trendy items. Like, I've seen people do it with squishmallows and stuff like that, which admittedly, I love stuffed animals. I have an issue with collecting stuffed animals because I just love animals in general and feeling like I'm surrounded by nature. And that's kind of how I compensate, is by having fake ones that I don't have to take care of. But it has problems. Once you have a certain amount of stuff in your house, once it starts to get in the way, take up your space, take up your money, it starts to cause psychological problems. And this is the type of behavior that's being normalized by people that are none the wiser. Most people don't have the background in psychology or the wherewithal to understand their spending habits enough to know when enough is enough. And so we're seeing more and more people fall victim to this type of influencing. And it, of course, it's not always going to go to that extreme where they're going to have that much stuff, but it's still the cumulative effect where even if you're not buying 50 of one item, you're still far more likely to see an influencer's collection be like, oh, I do want that. Even if you never actually needed it in the first place. You might see them collecting something and talking and raving about how great something is. And you'll turn around and be like, oh, well, they thought it was great, so I need to get it for myself because it must be. Like, who would buy that much if it wasn't that great? And that's why a human psychology is a really important component when it comes to spending, because it's basically the root of the problem. And it's also what companies and influencers use to make sure that we continue being targets. It's why credit card debt has proliferated. It's why overconsumption has proliferated, because they take advantage of the human brain to adapt all of their advertisements to make it seem harmless and to make it so seamless in society that it doesn't seem like it's actually a problem. One of the big issues with influencers, and why they're so successful, is because to our brains it doesn't feel like an advertisement. When you're watching somebody living their life and just showing off, like, yeah, this is my perfectly organized, neat kitchen. I have all of these insert objects that help me. And oh, they make my day. They make it so easy for me to organize myself. I have all of these things organized into these compartments and blah, 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 blah. And because I have all these products, my life is so seamless and organized and clean. And you can too if you buy these products. And to us, it comes off as they're trying to help me. They're trying to give me the life that I dream of. And psychologically, we do want that clean and distinct, organized, like basically we want to live problem free. I mean, we've all seen Lion King. Everybody wants that life that's just problem free, and you don't have to worry about anything. Things get done for you. That's the allure of like robots doing everything for you, because oh, I can just sit back and everything gets done for me. I never have to do my laundry and dishes and whatever. And so they're selling you this life. They're making it seem like all you have to do is buy these products and then you won't deal with X problem again, which is not true. But because of the way that they frame it, it's not like those infomercials in the 90s where you turn on the TV at 6 in the morning and they'd be like, for a whole hour, they'd be like, yeah, look at this great thing that you can buy here for only $9.99 in 3 installments. And it does this, this, and this. And they're showing like all these people like, yeah, I put it in my kitchen and now like all my Tupperware doesn't fly out of my cabinets every day, every time I open the door. And they're always like these outrageous, like selling point videos. And it was very clear that it was marketing. Like everyone can, I guarantee everyone can picture at least one of those advertisements in their head, those infomercials. But you knew that you were being sold something. But today, with the way that they've incorporated just average influencers, it doesn't feel like advertising anymore. Like you could literally just watch a video, a normal video, not even talking about the products, but they're sitting there in their video like, yeah, so about my pet dog that I adopted. Like my dog is a wonderful animal. And like the whole time you're still being sold to, even though it has nothing to do with the products that they're selling you. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with what is it, Stanley Cup. I actually got that for free from my husband's work, so I didn't even buy it. But influencers will do this where they'll set up these products in their household and they'll be using it, consuming it, putting it on their face, like the wake up with me, get ready with me videos. They're like, they clearly have the brands shown in their video. Oh yeah, I only use these powders. Oh, I only use this lipstick. Oh, I only buy from this company. It's not true. They're just saying that because they know that they're making money off of it. But it's when it's integrated into the videos, they don't have to say that they're selling you products because, oh, they're just casually mentioning it. And to our brains, it doesn't set off the red flags. When you know you're being sold, you automatically have that feeling. You're like, no, I'm not interested in this. Like, think of it with the salespeople that come door to door or whatever. Like, you know instantly when they're trying to sell you something. But if somebody came to your house and was just like acting like a friend, trying to see how you were doing, and then casually slipped in, hey, by the way, like I've been taking this thing or been using this thing and it's been making me feel good about myself, you probably would be less put off by that individual because you wouldn't feel like they were coming there for the purpose of selling you something. And that's exactly why influencers are so successful right now, is they're coming at you in their videos as if they're just a regular person. They're just a friend that wants to get to know you and wants you to know their lives, and that they've discovered whatever key to their lives that has made their lives so much better and why they're able to be better than you. Like there is that aspect of comparison of making it seem like, well, I've achieved this and so I will help you achieve this. And all you need is insert products. And this is a big part of the psychological aspect of making you think that all you have to do to be the person that you want to be, to have the life that you want, to avoid the problems that you are afraid of, is to buy it. The consumerist companies, the people that sell us things, have gotten so good at convincing us into thinking that you can buy the life that you want. That all you have to do is put forward the credit card and poof, your problem will disappear. And it's problematic because that's simply not true. Just because you have the product does not mean you'll immediately embody the habit. That's one of the things that people miss is just because you buy the journal doesn't mean you're going to start writing every day. Just because you buy a water bottle that's super cute and fancy and has a timer on it and will signal your phone when you're thirsty or when it thinks you're thirsty, and you have a magic straw that tells you how much water you're drinking every day, that doesn't mean that you're going to be better at keeping yourself hydrated. Just because you buy a food scale doesn't mean you're going to start magically eating healthy. But these are all the tricks that they use where they make you think that, oh, if you just had this product, then you will start living that life, because all it takes is having the accessibility to the knowledge, to the skill, to the commodity, and it'll be done for you. Which again, it's not true, because we are the roots of our own habits. We are the ones that perform our habits. We are the ones that pick up the products every single day. We are the ones that decide to put down the products every single day. We're the ones that decide what we interact with, when we interact with it, how much we interact with it. So it does not matter what products we have. It only matters what our mindset is. Because, as I said, you can have all of the coolest notebooks in the world, but that does not guarantee that you're going to journal every single night. What matters is whether you have the wherewithal to, at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day or whenever you want to do it, you tell yourself, all right, this is the time right now that I've set aside to write. And so I'm going to go and write. I'm not going to let myself be distracted. I'm not going to give away my time to something else. I'm going to give myself time to do that. But we have done so much outsourcing our thinking, outsourcing our behavior, our habit formation to things, to programs, to apps, to our phones, to our friends, to other people, that we've lost the sense of our own autonomy. We've forgotten that we are responsible for our actions. It doesn't matter how you set up your house. It doesn't matter how you set up your car. It doesn't matter what types of products you have. Those are never going to change your behavior. It's only you and your intentions that are going to change your behavior. They're just tricking us into thinking that buying these things will make that behavior happen. And to kind of add on to that, which slightly different but very similar arena, is also we think that having more things will make us happier. That it's kind of a balanced equation where more stuff, more happiness. But that obviously is not how it works either. And honestly, in most cases, it's quite the opposite, where people tend to be happier when they have less to worry about, less to do, less to organize, less to manage. It's quite stressful, especially in the type of world that we live in today, where people are struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling with their jobs, their kids, their schools, their families. Like, they have to deal with all sorts of other stuff. We're convinced we need like 500 friends. We're convinced that we need to watch all these things and stay up to date with all of these like topics and tasks and whatnot. That it overloads our brains, and it's incredibly stressful for a brain to have an endless to-do list in our head all of the time. This goes back to forever. Just like Chef said, there's a long history to this. There's a long history to consumerism. There's a long history to the psychology of accumulation. Ages and ages and ages ago, when we were still living off the land and literally having to hunt for ourselves, the to-do list in our mind was for survival. It was like, build a fire, fix the arrows that you're going to be using, or like make the arrows that you're going to be using to hunt your animals, skin the animals, like prep the meat, stuff like that. And most of that stuff was like pseudo instant. Like, it wasn't going to take you months and months and months to do. But if it did, it could be easily broken down into much smaller fragments Like if you were building a building back then, like you'd have to work on the foundation first. That you'd plot out what you wanted to do, and then you make the walls, then you do the inside and stuff. But now with instant gratification, we kind of expect that every single thing has to be done all at once. But then we're also making to-do lists that are miles and miles long and are also filled with a obscene amount of inconsequential tasks. Because now not only do we have to manage ourselves and the stuff that we need to do for ourselves, but then we have to do all the stuff for the stuff that we're using for ourselves. So now you're not just taking care of your body, but you're also taking care of the food that goes in your body, the food that you cook the objects that you cook your food on for your body, the containers that you're storing the food in for your body. You have to maintain the bags that you use to take to the store to get the food for your body, and then you have to maintain the car which you need to get the food for your body. And like that's just one example. Like there's like if I quit doing makeup when I was in high school or no, college because the idea of just the maintenance and all the products and stuff overwhelmed my brain. I literally it felt so suffocatingly um overwhelming, for lack of a better term, that I just completely quit because I was like, so if I'm gonna get this perfect face, I need a powder and then powders for here and then powders for here and then color for here and then color for here and then this and then you have to do all different maintenance and then you have to like pay attention to the brands and again, just one example of how much you have to do for one small fragment of your day. Like people, I don't know how long people spend doing their makeup, but like maybe less than an hour if I had to guess. In 1 hour you're using 10 products, sometimes more. I've seen people have skincare routines that are like 13 to 20 steps, which is crazy. I'm like there were some of these videos that I was watching them do their skincare routine and over the course of the video you could see their face get redder and redder as they're putting all of these products on and washing it off, putting more on and washing it off. But we're dedicating hundreds of items to just tiny fractions of our day, and all of that management in our heads is going to do a number on our ability to focus, on our ability to task manage, to complete anything. That's why ADHD people struggle so significantly with finishing things because they have what's called executive management issues, like task management, where it's hard for them to identify the steps of a project and then it is hard for them to initiate the steps and follow through with the steps. And so finishing projects, especially things that are very large, are very intimidating because it like overwhelms the brain and they can't focus long enough to get all of these things done. And we're kind of experiencing that on a mass scale now. There's so much stuff we have to worry about in our lives that we can't. Our brains are completely overloaded. And I would not be surprised. There's some preliminary research, but I would not be surprised if there's a direct link between all of the emotional turmoil people are in today and the amount of stuff that we have. I would really guess that it was a direct link because if you can even if you know of people from history, 1900s and even like 1950s, basically before consumerism really took off, there were hundreds of amazing famous writers that really went into depth about the importance of being able to be alone, being able to be in peace. I think it was Walden, Ralph Emerson. I always mix up if Walden and Ralph Waldo Emerson are the same person. But I know one of them wrote a book where he like went into the woods just to be alone, be completely by himself. And he wrote about the benefits of just complete simplicity. And there's amazing psychologists, philosophers, writers, artists, all of whom have expressed the importance of simplicity, of aloneness, of quietness, silence. And most people don't have access to that nowadays. We have videos going on in the background constantly, music going on in the background constantly. We're talking on the phone, we're texting 10 people at once. We're trying to keep up with like 50 different celebrities that we don't actually care about, what we're convinced that we care about because everyone else cares about them. As I said, we're buying countless products that we will never ever finish. We don't actually like, but somebody liked it, so we just had to have it too. Also, with the way that they market things, they are releasing limited edition everything, branded goods that are just like only now, you can only get it now, that give you the sense of, yes, I think it was Walt Whitman. You're right. That it gives the impression of urgency. Like, if you don't buy it now, you'll never be able to get it again. But why? Like, if you look at the cost of what it took to make these sneakers that are $10,000 or more, like some of these high fashion sneakers or heels or purses, like I think it was either Coach or Louis Vuitton, they were exposed that I think it's like $42 to make a Louis Vuitton purse, even though they're charging thousands of dollars for these purses. And they create the sense of limited amounts through really nefarious practices, actually. Coach and Versace, I think Louis Vuitton's another. There's a bunch of brand name places that literally slash their products that are not sold to throw away because they don't want people to be able to pull them out of the garbage and resell. So they'll purposely destroy the products that are not sold and that are out of season, because then it creates the sense of scarcity, like that. Oh, there's fewer of these products, so they're worth more, even though they're all garbage. they're all made very poorly, and it's not like it used to be, where maybe back in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, when products were made from those companies, they put exceptional care into making them. They're hand stitched. They used authentic materials compared to the like cheap products that were available at the time. But now with mass manufacturing today, most of these products are all the same. Like the quality that you'll get in a $20 bag is probably going to be equivalent to the quality of a bag that you'll get in something that's like $20,000. And of course, it's not always the exception, because there are artisans that specifically make things by hand, that are genuinely limited edition, that do take hours and hours and hours and hours of work, actual human made work, and not like sweat factory type work. But those are not the same as the brands that are pushed today. All those like fancy brands, those are not the same quality as they were in the past. And most of the time, they really only want our money. They don't actually care about the quality anymore. There's a psychological mechanism behind this as well, the scarcity mindset, and they're taking full advantage of that. The scarcity mindset goes all the way back to when we were living on the land and had to kind of hunt whatever we could find. Things that were very difficult to find were typically seen as more valuable. And the scarcity mindset today has kind of turned into this pervasive feeling that you don't have enough. This is the opposite of the abundance mindset that I know a lot of like religious and philosophy leaders kind of promote, is the whole idea of manifestation in a way, where you have to work on yourself mentally and convince yourself that you do have enough. You are happy. This is why gratitude is so important, because it helps beat out that scarcity mindset. If you allow yourself to fall victim to a scarcity mindset, it can leave you kind of vulnerable to this sense of like, I don't have enough. I need more. If I don't get this now, then I won't be able to get it in the future. You'll focus way more intently on what you're missing rather than what you do have and being thankful for what you do have. So, cough, cough, all these people that are trying to, oh, I need to get the Awala now because that's popular, not the Stanley Cup. I bet you still have five fine, perfectly usable Stanley Cups in your house. Do you really need additional water bottles when you already have something perfect to drink out of? And the scarcity mindset leads to poor decision making and hoarding behaviors if you allow it to take hold, because if you keep giving into it, it's with habits, like reinforcement allows this behavior to persist. And so as you continue to give in and be like, you know what, I don't have enough, I do need that, I do need that thing, then it's going to be easier and easier for you to justify every purchase that you make. Like, oh, well, that's the pattern I want, so I have to buy that, even though I have four others. Oh, well, that's my color, so I need to buy that too. But if we're working on ourselves constantly to, because unfortunately in the society, this is something we have to reinforce regularly. This has to be a habit of paying attention to our feelings, understanding why we might be feeling the pull to buy something, and teaching ourselves that it's okay to not have. Um, as I said, consumerism has done a number on us, and it has convinced us of a bunch of different fallacies. And especially with like credit cards and buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later is like the worst of the worst because of how it doesn't have the interest rate. So it's very sneaky, in making you think that, well, you can't afford it because all you have to do is pay this small amount now and later you pay more. Into thinking that you can afford something and all you have to do is just set it up and then you're good and then you get the item. Having instant gratification, I want it and here it is. It'll arrive in my house in a day, 2 days, and now I have it. That's also feeding into this tendency for scarcity mindset, because if you feel the urge to have something, you're immediately going to be like, well, I can easily get it. And you don't even have to consider, well, do I need it? Does it fit in my life? Is it actually going to help me? It removes that that space for reconsideration. Because for example, if you're going to go out and buy a car that's $16,000, and let's say you don't have access to credit, you are going to have to save up for a very long time, because chances are most people don't just have $16,000 just laying around. So if you have to spend months saving up for this, you're going to be considering it over and over. Like, how is this going to change me? Is this something that I need? Is this something that I want? Is there something I can get that's cheaper? Is there something that will work better for me? You're constantly going to be considering this purchase. And even by the end, you might be like, you know what? My car that I do have is actually working out fine for me. And by having that instant gratification, the one click, I get it and it's at my door, it removes that chance for you to actually consider the impacts of you purchasing that item. And I've even noticed this with myself. Like, I admittedly struggle with spending myself. I have bipolar disorder. So during manic episodes, I can be far more likely to be like, oh, I suddenly need all of these things to fulfill some interest or whatever that I was having in the moment. And having that one click, you can just buy this now and you don't have to worry about paying until later, is incredibly enticing and incredibly damaging, because you're basically charging your future with your current wants. And oftentimes, even when you get those items, once you get them, the excitement's already gone. The excitement was when you saw it on the page, was when you first discovered it, was when you first heard about it. But then once it arrives at your house, then you're saddled with all of the extra stuff that you didn't think about. Wait, where am I going to put this? Wait, now I'm going to have to read this. I don't actually like this. I'm not actually interested in this anymore. And so that instant gratification takes that away from us. It takes away our ability to think and to consider and to give ourselves the chance to have that excitement fade, and for us to realize, is it a need? Is it a tool? Is it something that I'm genuinely going to be using? Or is it just something that in the moment, in my mind, it seemed like some amazing solution, but it ended up not being that way? And the buy now pay later is especially nefarious because it breaks down extremely big purchases into really tiny bite-sized pieces. And so you can buy something that's $1,000 or more, and you only have to pay $20 a month for 24 months. And you're like, oh, that's not bad. I only have to pay $20 a month for this. And you don't really consider that that's $24 a month for 2 years. And you're not going to be able to use those $24 or whatever, however much it was, every single month now. So now you might be $20 short on a bill. Now you might not be able to afford something that you actually wanted to do because you have to spend that money. Or there's also those other people that just don't even care and just continue to accumulate and choose voluntarily not to pay it off, which is going to do massive damage to your financial history, your like credit score. Right now, buy now, pay later does not actually affect your credit score, but it's still going to show up in your history, and banks and other like lending agencies and stuff like that for stuff that you do need, aka buying a car, buying a house, buying a school degree if you are going through that. It's still going to affect your future. And again, as I said, you're robbing your future. Like, that could have been savings. You could have, instead of buying the thing, you could have decided to put $20 away a month. And by the end of those 24 months, you'll have, was it like, I can't do math in my head, 48, so let me do math. You'll have money. You'll have a lot more money in savings that you would not have had if you did not spend that on that purchase. So yeah, these companies, not only the companies that create the products, but also the companies that enable you to have access to those products through credit, through buy now, pay later, through other various techniques that they have. They are making money off of you because they're basically counting on you to not have enough money to cover those costs. Because again, yeah, $20 a month doesn't sound too bad, but now you make 8 of those purchases. And so now you're spending $400 a month every month because you decided to buy 8 things at an expensive rate. So now imagine having to pay $400 a month every single month for 2 years just because you had to go to that concert, you had to go to Disneyland, you had to buy those shoes, those purses, those whatevers. Like, real story for me, my last major manic episode, I spent somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 in a week just on books, on clothing, on shoes, pillows, random stuff just because my mind was going so fast that I'm like, oh, these things will fix these problems. And most of these things I don't use anymore. Like some of them I do, but there's a lot of them that I'm like, I don't touch these. I don't actually like them in the way I thought I did. Um, and there's a lot of it now that I'm trying to give away. It was a loss. I didn't gain anything from having those items. And now I'm at the point where I'm now back in my I need to minimize my life because I'm stressed out. There's too much stuff in my house. It's too much for me to manage. With kids, like collecting toys is easy. As a woman, collecting clothes and shoes is easy. As somebody that likes food, like collecting dishes and stuff. Like I love animals, so anything with animal print. It's so easy to fill up your life with a bunch of stuff that you don't actually need, convincing yourself that those things are going to make you happy. And they don't. They really don't. And it took me, I think, I am lucky. I had family that was able to help me, but it took me probably 6 to 8 months to pay off that $3,000. And that was still like, I think I just finally paid off the last purchases like this recent month. So yeah, it can stick with you for a very long time. And I'm not even kidding. There are people that are hundreds of thousands of dollars into credit card debt. I'm lucky in the sense that I do enough like psychology investigation and I try to follow minimalism ideas. I'm not very good at it yet, but I try to be as cognizant as I can and be realistic with myself. But of course, I still fall for these traps. But I've seen like watch David Ramsey, watch Caleb Hammer, or just watch compilations of people on YouTube. They make what's his name? There's a YouTuber that I really like that does compilation videos just showing people overspending. Watch those videos and you'll see how bad it actually is. There are people that are drowning in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. I think this one was on Gordon Ramsay. David Ramsey. I think she was like $300,000 in just credit card debt. And that did not include her student loans, her car loans, her insurance rates, her housing. I was panicked when my debt was over $5,000. I don't know how you can rationalize your way into still buying things when you're $300,000 in credit card debt. She was paying, I think, like $4,000 a month in just paying back that. And it was all minimum payments too. Like that's the other part where I was saying credit card companies almost bank on, or not almost, they literally do bank on you not paying back the full amount. If you ever try and pay just the minimum payment, watch how fast that balance rises. There was a woman that this was for school loans, not for credit card debt, but she had paid off I think it was like $76,000 of her like $90,000 student loan debt. Tell me how this math works out. So she had already spent $76,000 on a $90,000-ish dollar debt. She owed $107,000. So she owed more than she started with, even though she basically had paid off more than 3/4 of what she owed. That is what they do to you. That is what credit cards want from you. The majority of money that credit cards make off of you is from interest. And that is why they want you to make hundreds of small purchases that you're not paying attention to. That way you can spend $400, $500 in minimum payments every month, but you make no progress in the amount of debt that you actually have. And I think that's kind of what I credit me not ending up in the hole is I will never pay the minimum payment. As soon as I have money, access to a little bit excess money, I will automatically put that towards credit cards because and I don't even have that many. I just have like I had 3, but I closed 2 of them because I was like, I'm not collecting this anymore. But having a lot of different credit cards, having a lot of different credit lines is a killer because it's going to make you think that you don't owe as much as you actually do. And again, that's what these companies bank on is they want you to forget and start accruing interest because that's where they make their money from. And that interest accumulates fast. I think I missed one payment on a credit card and it added like $76 to my balance, even though my minimum payment was like $20. So that is one of the ways that they get you. And then, as I said, the companies themselves, the ones that are selling you these things, want you to use the buy now, pay later, because first of all, they don't care about your debt. They just want you to take the products out the door. They just want you to have those items. And because of the way branding works today and the way we are all on social media, they know that, well, if you have it, you're going to tell your friends about it. And if your friends have it, if you have it, then your friends are going to start having it because people talk, people love to share things that they care about, and also just walking around, like you're going to have the logos on your shirt, letting them know like what this is. And, and then as I said, like the influencers, they're wearing it on their face. They're putting it in their videos. They're sharing, oh, this company, I got this and this and this and this and whatnot. So they're relying on us to advertise for them now. And that is why this is such a hidden problem and an underestimated problem because we don't see it. It's literally integrated into our daily lives so seamlessly that we don't even notice that we are the product. We are the ones that are doing the advertising for them, and we are the ones that are being advertised at every single moment. I'm like, I still remember. I was very little, but I still remember the first time they started putting ads in the beginning of movie theaters, or when they started putting. I still remember when YouTube didn't have ads. I also still remember when TV like had unskippable ads and they were just so obnoxious. You're like, oh, another advertisement? Like they were the bane of our existence. But now they're everywhere. No matter where you go. They're even trying to make, I think it's in Chicago, New York, or LA, one of the two, or one of the three. They've now invented these flying billboards that are going to be like hovering over the freeway and moving where the traffic is so they can make sure that people have enough viewings of these advertisements. Like we're getting to the point where, come on, they're putting advertisements on our fridges where if you have the fridge TV, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, you have to pay extra every month if you want to not get ads on your fridge. Like, can we get it together? What is happening here? I hate this. It's so dystopian thinking that everywhere we look now, we're just going to have advertisements everywhere. Like, can you imagine having advertisements on your pillow and on your ceiling and like in your mirror? They've done that in some places where in like public restrooms and stuff, they have it's like a digital mirror, whatever, and it shows like a faint ad in the mirror as you're looking into the mirror in the bathroom. I'm like, it's crazy. It's really crazy to me. Like, as somebody that gets overstimulated, the thought of having advertisements everywhere and being sold at every step of every point of your day is just sickening to me, like bizarre and just good grief. Um, Also, I just thought of it. I was gonna mention it earlier when I was talking about like brand and limited edition stuff. This just I just heard about this like a week ago, not even. And I've just been telling everybody because I cannot believe how ridiculous it is. So, Denny's, the restaurant, the diner, just released limited edition shoes that have literal syrup packets like ingrained into the shoes. Like they're compartments with actual syrup in the shoe. All I could think of looking at that was this is peak consumerism here. This is it right now. This is what it looks like. Is this the future? We're just gonna have like this is the most ridiculous product I've ever I've heard of in a while. It just blows me away. As one of my friends' moms used to say, which is one of my favorite quotes to use to this day, what people would rather have more than their money. That is where we're at right now. So, yeah, this is the type of stuff that I am secretly very passionate about. I enjoy talking about overconsumption, overspending, because people underestimate the the cost of this type of stuff on us, because it doesn't just affect our mental like if it affects our financial health, it affects our mental health. A cluttered household will cause chronic stress. Over time, you're actually more likely to have heart attacks and strokes if you're in a cluttered household. Cluttered households are also, especially in extreme cases, you're more likely to get sick from stuff like mold exposures or falls, because you like trip and fall downstairs and stuff like that. They're more dangerous in natural disasters because if you have a tornado blow through your house and you have shrapnel everywhere, that there's that, and then also like in earthquakes, you have more things that can fall on top of you. Mental health decline is a real problem. The whole aspect of reclusion, people not going out and favoring shopping, online shopping, and their stuff over actual people. And then the earth, it's doing environmental damage to our planet. As I talked about in one of the previous episodes before Thanksgiving with food waste, our landfills are stuffed to the brim and they're seeping into our waterways, they're poisoning our animals. And it's not just food, it's everything, because all this crap that we don't use is going to end up in landfills. A lot of the clothes they make today are not high quality. They're synthetic materials, so they're made out of plastics. They're made out of all sorts of synthetic fibers that don't break down naturally, and so those are going to end up back in our waterways. We also have let's see, fast fashion consumes about 141 billion cubic meters of water annually. Imagine how many people that could give water to if we didn't give it to all this crappy clothes. Like think Shane and what's the other one that everyone hates right now? I always think of Wish because that was the last one that was my last straw. But there's another one that's like popular right now. I'm just blanking. But they also contribute to 35% of the microplastics in our oceans. The fast fashion industry currently is a $150 billion industry. So they're taking a ton of money from us for clothes that are not going to last 6 months. And it's a huge component of people's debt as well. Additionally, it also contributes to to worker pay issues. Most people in the fast fashion industry are paid less than $2 an hour. Um, and most of them are operating in places where they have very lax rules for safety. Um, they're breathing in chemicals, they're in dangerous conditions, they're working long hours, they're exposed to dangerous machinery. About 430 million people work in fashion and textile markets. And all of those people are exposed to potentially hazardous conditions and are not paid equitably at all. But by buying these products, we continue to support practices like this. Um, it also enables people that make things by hand to increase their prices because they basically are like, well, no one else is doing it. So I get to overcharge, not knocking true artists and stuff like that, because obviously it does take time. But if there's an actual market for handmade clothes, people would incentivize making it more cheaply. But instead, we incentivize having machines do it cheaply. And so then we get some of the most egregious garbage that you could possibly get. And I mean, I'm sure we've all had our experiences with how terribly cheap and poor quality these clothes are. Um, the fashion industry itself alone is responsible for 10% of the carbon footprint of the world, which surpasses the emissions from all international flights and maritime shipping. So basically, the clothes that we produce more carbon than all flights and all ships, which is crazy to think about as well. And as I said, it consumes enough water to meet the needs of about 5 million people. We have a lot of people around the world, especially in like North Africa and Asia, that are, and Australia as well, that have lack of access to water. Um, and yeah, that water could be going to people, but instead it's going to manufacturing clothing. Not to mention, as Chef pointed out, this is before we have all of these AI centers, which also take an astronomical amount of water and power away from people that could be using it. So this is a very, very big problem facing our society right now. And it's something we don't really talk about. Like, we talk about it, but it's more in the jovial sense, like, can you believe it? Look at all these people that are like buying all this stuff. I can't believe someone would actually live like that. Meanwhile, we're clicking away in our Amazon cart. We're buying away on eBay. We're buying away on Shane. And a lot of these small purchases aren't even just stuff. Like, we do it for like buying a coffee every single day instead of making it at home ourselves, or food delivery. If you have the ability to get your own food, like, why are you making other people like bring it to you and waste it? Like, that one's a bit, because I can as someone that cannot drive right now, I see the benefit of having food delivery available, but some people just deliver every single meal every single day and never have to make anything. Other like subscription services are where a lot of people's money goes, apps and memberships that they don't ever use. As we talked about, clothing and accessories, electronics, basically impulse buys is where a lot of the consumer debt goes to. Another huge consumer debt facet is upgrading phones, gadgets, and getting the new phone every single year, even though they're basically always the same. And then also, as I brought up, designer brands, expensive cars, luxury travel, and containers. Containers are a huge, huge industry. I could make my own video, its own separate video on just the problems of container purchases, because that is another really excessive market right now, and it's one of the manifestations of that. All you need is this, and it'll fix everything. Which, hint, it doesn't. Having the right container does not fix everything in your life. But we overspend in so many different areas, and it's so hard to keep track of. So some of the things that that I suggest for people is one, cutting down the amount of credit cards you have. And if possible, I would just cut out credit card use completely, especially if you have issues with malignant spending, where you have an issue controlling it, at least for the time being, not having access to something like that. I've heard of people going as far as like to freeze their credit card into an ice cube, but that doesn't exactly help nowadays when they like save your information everywhere. But to not have access to these sources of debt formation is incredibly beneficial, because it basically removes that first line of temptation, and prevents it from being an ease to just click away and get whatever you want. Also, learning to treat yourself with things that are fruitful. So one of the things that I've done a trade-off, so whenever I feel the need to spend money, I'll buy investments instead. I'll buy some stocks. I'll buy, obviously research them first. Don't just buy random stocks, but like buying, as I said, investments. I'll also buy like small amounts of like silver, gold type commodities, and just finding different ways to pay for your future instead of spending the money from your future, because there's a definite difference. Buying things that will help you in the long run is not the same as buying something that takes away from your resource in the future. And these things are, don't be tricked into thinking, oh, like I can just mass buy like food and stuff, because obviously a lot of these things expire. So you don't want to just like buy whatever saying it's for the future. Like make sure that it'll actually be valuable into the future, because a lot of people will do that with shoes or jewelry or whatever, where they're like, I'm buying it now because in the future it'll be worth this much. And that type of speculative buying is dangerous, because you don't know if it'll actually have that value. But things that have real value, and hold value, like precious metals, and sometimes like precious gemstones and stuff like that. Like if you buy jewelry that's like real rubies, emeralds, diamonds, stuff like that, those can also hold their value. But try not to buy things that are just like, well, it's a trendy item now. Like imagine if somebody's like, I'm gonna put my savings into Labubus, and then in the future the Labubus will be worth more. I promise. Goodwill is already throwing away Labubus because they get too many. So yeah, get things of value for yourself. And when I say value, I mean actual tangible value that can be resold for a higher price in the future, that do not include trendy items, because those are not valuable, I promise. And then also, instead of spending, put that money that you want to spend into savings, because then that'll be an investment for your future again. Even if it's a tiny amount, it doesn't even have to be like $500, like $5, $20. You're paying for yourself into your future. And that accumulates. Like if you can even set like a tiny, tiny amount at regular intervals, that will still go incredibly far. Like imagine if you set away automatically, didn't pay attention to it, forgot about it, even $5 a month. By the end of the year, you'd have, again, I'm not good with math, but $60. By the next year, you'd have $120. If you kept forgetting about it, you could have like $500 by in a couple years and not even remember that you did it. Treat to yourself. And don't just blow that away as soon as you see that amount of money. I know that's tempting, because they're like, oh, snap, I have $500 in savings. I can use that to buy something now. It's savings for a reason. Use it for emergencies only. I know it's tempting, but yeah, putting away little bits at a time can be very beneficial, and it can take away that sting of like, I need to purchase something. Give yourself that, purchase something, but for your future, for yourself, and not for some stupid company that just wants to take advantage of you because they have to invent some new product every week and want you to buy it and have it. So yeah, it is very important to be conscious of yourself, your habits, understand what your triggers are, be cognizant of the feelings that you're getting. One of the biggest, most important steps to making financial changes in your life, especially when it comes to tackling spending problems, is knowing your behavior, understanding where these tendencies are coming from, what triggers you to spend, what emotions underlie your need for these purchases. Is it the need to fit in? Is it the need to follow a trend? Is it the sense of like, oh, I need that right now? Everyone's going to have their different reason, but it's important to know what yours are. Everyone's different, but knowing your specific reason is going to be key in understanding how to stop yourself in the future, because then you can pick up on the signs before they happen. In the same way that understanding the signs of a heart attack or a stroke can keep you from having severe impacts in the future, because you'll be able to be like, oh, my cheek is drooping, or oh, I'm losing sensation in my right side of my arm. I should go to the hospital. You can stop yourself before you get to the point that you do significant damage to yourself. So if you notice yourself, hey, it's weird, I've been spending more money lately, I've been feeling needy lately, I've been feeling XYZ, which has resulted in me buying these small things, it might prevent you from going out and buying something that's like $600 and you'll regret. So yeah, be cognizant of yourself, and be honest with yourself. And lastly, be yourself, because a lot of these purchases are so you can be somebody that you're not. And understanding who you truly are is one of the best ways ever, besides knowing yourself, or as part of knowing yourself, understanding what you specifically actually need and not what everyone else is saying that you need. So yeah, this is an uphill battle in the world that we live in, but it's definitely highly, highly beneficial to know and to understand, and to allow yourself to feel, not just ignore it and click away into out of existence. So before we go, I have a short little poem that I wanted to read because I thought it would be a fitting way to sum this up, and it also will make it a little less depressing. I hope. So this is called "Protect Your Capital." How can any artist, writer, or poet express the immensity of terror, knowing from ourselves it is coming? Watching the grayness of uncertainty envelop every facet of our nightscapes and dash every colorful consumer plea for a world that was better. But now we watch the masses march, all but in the right direction, led by the expensive manipulations set forth by an intelligent lot, taking the world like a henhouse for a fox. How can you shout to this void, long enough to elicit just one look, when no one trusts what's in the books, when the rich can change the tide of a decade, when one person can change all of a century, using merely hours of their lives, of billions of hours? We keep sitting, staring at their parasitic Rolodex, where 1,000 online friends are found, to dish out online things and trends. How foolishly we waste money, time, mental health, actual wealth, instead dedicating dying brain cells to thousands of imaginary personas online, feeding all manner of personal hell. We trust our existence to strangers in blank rooms, to strangers with blank faces. To them, you're a number. From every click, they're elected. But you remain marooned, rejected, consumed, on a ledge with no ladder, poisoned by a digital adder, floating in a world where the lives of the bidders are all that will matter. We pay them with dollars and time. We pay them with our life-saving rhymes, purging our pockets, cashing each of our finite chips just for a stake in the games of the rich. And now we look at our shriveled palms. Did we get our wish? Did we get the things checked off our lists? Are we comfortable? Are we happy? Pay attention, because they are. Gradually, they buy our land, steal our food, and send us spam. You are the product. You are the keep. They even infiltrated sleep. No privacy. Your life's on file. They've had our socials for a while. And as they sit tight and watch us fight, they know full well of their might, using monopoly, lawfully, awfully, with your buck, unstoppable. Choose wisely.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed. They got their own strange machines. How did they get up there?